welcome to episode 11 of A Yarn Tale, a knitting podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from Chicago, where I live with my husband, our 3 kids, and our dog, Max. So today, I have a lot of stuff to show. I actually even have a couple FOs, some whips, and some future plans for knitting. So I tried first to record outside. I was planning on recording outside because it's really lovely outside, and also we are renovating our house and it's kind of loud inside. They're using these construction machines to literally jackhammer into the slab foundation of our house. And so our whole house smells like diesel fumes, and it's just every so often it will just vibrate in a way that's kind of disturbing. But outside, I didn't realize they're practicing for the air show in Chicago this weekend. So if you listen, wait, there's one. You can hear the sound of fighter jets buzzing overhead. So it was like, which is worse? Construction, jackhammers, Blue Angels, and the fighter jets. I don't know. It was kind of a toss-up. So I tried it outside. It was super loud. I'm going to try it in here and hope it's slightly less loud. Or maybe we might just have to do this tomorrow. I don't really know. But this is not an audio podcast. This is a knitting podcast. So let's just get right into it, and maybe I can blow through this before it starts getting ridiculous. My first FO I am wearing, it is the My Little Secret crop by Jessie May of Jessie May Designs. I knit it out of the Fiberco, what's it called? Amble. It's a fingering weight, but I held it double, so it's kind of a, hey fighter jet. It's kind of a heavy DK light worsted. It's 70% wool, 20% alpaca, and 10% nylon. Perhaps not the best fiber composition for a summer top. However, there's really not much to it. Like, it's pretty low in the back, and it's pretty short. So even though, it's too short. Okay, there we go. Even though it is kind of thick for a summer top and squishy, it's really not that hot. There's just not that much of it to make it be that hot. So far I like it. I knit it to pattern. My only modification was that I added 4 inches to the body, because the way it's written, it's pretty much a bralette. It's 6 inches from the armhole down to the hem, and I knit it to 10 inches. Actually, I probably should have knit an additional 2, like 1.5 inches or 2 inches, because I do kind of fiddle with it when I wear it, or maybe my jeans stretched out and they're not as high-waisted as I would like them. But I haven't blocked it because I'm just really awful at getting around to that. So there's a lot of alpaca in here. I'm hoping when I block it, I'll get a little bit more length out of it, and then it will be perfect. It will be perfect, you guys, because I'm so glad I knit this. I had seen it a bunch because it's super cute, and Jessie May is really popular, and lots of people knit her patterns. It's perfect for summer, but I always passed it over because I thought it was just too strappy and like kind of too low in the back and too cropped and just too not really my style. I don't know. Or I was worried about the fit. I was really worried about the fit. But in the end, I went for it because just so many people had made it. They wore me down. I try not to knit all the same things as everyone else, but it's really hard, you guys. If you're on Instagram, it's really hard. They kind of make it seem like there's only 10 patterns out there worth knitting. And as much as I try to avoid those 10 patterns, sometimes they get me. So this was one. And actually, I'm really glad that I finally broke down and knit it because it's super quick. I knit it in a week, and we all know I'm not a fast knitter. And generally it fits, and I think it's cute. I have worn it a bunch, even though it is a little crop for me, just because, whatever. If I happen to wear a crop top, that is none of your business. I still think it's cute. It's still comfortable. I just need to buy higher pants. I think that might be the solution. Or block it. Either. It could be any. But that's my next FO is the March hat by Meghan Babin. It is part of the Kelbourne Woolens Year of Hats collection. If you have not checked out the hats in this collection, you definitely should. All the patterns are free. There's a pattern for every month, and I've knit the June hat as well. This is the March hat. And the February hat's been in my list of things to knit for a long time, so I'm sure I'll eventually get to that one. But this is the March hat. It's a tubular cast on, which is my first time trying that. So pretty. pretty. It's so pretty. It was kind of a challenge. I am all thumbs when it comes to a crochet hook. I first, to do the provisional cast on, I did it so tight that truly no one could have knit into that crochet chain. So I ripped it out and then I did it again. I watched a whole bunch of videos and I tried to do it looser, and I did, but then it was really hard to see the little bumps that you knit into. I don't even know if I did that right. I kind of just, it was kind of a jumble, but I got it, and I do think it was worth it. I mean, look how pretty that is. So I knit the large size, which means this hat is too large for my head. I mean, if I were gonna keep it, I could just fold up the brim and it would work well enough. But I was gonna give it to my sister, who I have heard has a bigger head than me. I don't know, I haven't asked her head size. But she's definitely taller than me, so maybe her head is bigger. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen a finished picture of this hat, and it had this cute white fur pom-pom on it. Okay, so it does not anymore. I finished it and I put the pom-pom on it, and then I was like, shoot, I didn't block it, and I was gonna give it as a gift, and I probably should block it before I give it as a Christmas gift because everything looks nicer when you block it. So I soaked it in soak with the pom-pom on, but I tried to keep it out. And you guys, the hat, I knit this out of Malabrigo Rios in the colorway Pearl. This yarn grew. I mean, when I say it grew in blocking, it grew like 7 times the size of this hat. It would have been like Godzilla's favorite hat. I mean, it was enormous. I should have taken a picture of it. It was enormous. And I was like, oh, I was so gentle taking it out, but it just kind of it just never ended. Whenever you touched it, it grew like 6 inches. So I was like, shoot. I tried to reform it on the blocking mats. I smushed it together, and I was like, maybe it'll dry smaller. It didn't. It dried enormous, so big. No one could wear that hat. And I was like, oh no. I can't give that as a gift, now it's wrecked. But then I remembered, this is superwash, and I knit the no frill sweater in superwash wool, and it also kind of grew when I washed it, and I just threw it in the dryer for a few minutes. I mean, we're talking maybe 5 minutes total. I mean, I checked it after every couple, and it did kind of snap back. So I was like, well, I'll just wash that. I'll just dry it. I'll just pop it in the dryer, and I really had nothing to lose at that point because no one could have worn it. So if it got wrecked in the dryer, it was already wrecked. And it did shrink back up. I mean, it kind of went back to its original size. It's still too big for me. The textured pattern is not as pronounced after I blocked it, but you can still see it. I still think it looks cute. But I did not even think about the pom-pom in the dryer. I just threw it in. And in case you were wondering, faux fur pom-poms do not belong in the dryer. What happened here? It had these cute black tips. Now they're little congealed, melted and burned sections of the pom-pom. Oh no. So that was a fail. I mean, it doesn't matter. I got this 2 years ago from some bag of stuff from Joann's. I mean, it was not even that nice of a pom-pom. But now it is dead. It's like a snowball. I don't even know. It's really awful. So I cut it off, and I have to get a new pom-pom and kind of attach it. I've seen there's such lovely ways to attach them with ribbon and then a little button underneath so you can remove it to wash the hat, which would have been, it really would have been ideal if I had thought of this before just chucking it into the dryer. But I have learned that truly, if I am going to learn anything from a mistake, I have to truly make it myself. I cannot. It's so hard for me to learn from someone else's experience, which is sad. Makes it hard. It makes it hard. But that's the way it goes. So now I will remember not to put my fur pom-poms in the dryer, and I just have to get a new one. But the hat is great. I love it. It's seersucker stitch, which I had never done, but it's not hard. I don't even remember how I did it. It was like just knits and purls, I think. The brim was super long. The brim was actually the worst part of it because it's 1x1 ribbon. It just goes on forever. But I love the finished product. So I probably would knit another one. This is the large size, adult large. I probably would knit the adult medium because I think that would fit myself and any other kind of pinhead, small head person that might want to have. And I think if you knit it, and depending on the colorway you knit it in, it's pretty unisex. As long as you don't put a really funky looking pom-pom on the top. So that's FO number 2. FO number 3 is kind of cheating because I already showed it as an FO, but if you've watched the podcast before, this is a cardigan I knit for my daughter. It is the Sirdar family cardigan 8225, and the pattern is great actually. It's just for basic sweaters. They have adult sizes and child sizes, crew neck, V-neck, I think there's even a shawl neck, cardigan, pullover, like you name it, it's in there. And it's bottom up, there's ribbing at the bottom, it's seamed, it's the raglan increases, you have to use mattress stitch to just seam everything up. And I knit it out of Quince & Co. Chickadee, which is their sport weight, it's superwash. And in the colorway Sorbet, which is the pink, and then Leek, I lined it with Leek, which is this really light yellowy green color, which I love. And I bought, the reason I'm showing it again is I had bought these light green buttons, but I just really hate sewing. You'd think I would like it because, I mean, for the amount that I like knitting and fabric and fiber, I feel like I should be more into that, but man, I just freaking hate it. So the buttons were sitting in a bag for months, and my daughter was like, hey, are you ever gonna do that sweater? Because it's gonna be fall soon. And I was like, oh, you're right, it is gonna be fall. Okay, fine. So I dug out the buttons and I sewed them on. And actually, I'm glad because I was originally worried. I did the buttonholes as they recommended in the pattern. You cast off a couple stitches, you bind off a couple stitches, and then you cast on some stitches in the next row, and that kind of makes your buttonhole. And I was worried that they were just ginormous. I mean, they looked really big. But once I got the buttons on, I mean, these are pretty big buttons, but they work. They don't look weird. It definitely is gonna stay. And so I was happy with that. So I didn't end up doing, initially I had talked about on the podcast maybe going around it with a crochet hook, which, man, crochet hooks and I, we have a really tenuous relationship. But I had thought about going around the buttonhole with maybe the green yarn and tightening up the buttonholes, but I didn't because I'm lazy. And once again, my laziness was rewarded because I think the buttons fit great. My only complaint with this sweater I have mentioned before, and is totally my fault. The pattern recommends going down 1 or 2 needle sizes when you pick up the button band. And I just didn't. I mean, I didn't forget. I just was like, where is my smaller needle? I don't even know. It's like somewhere. I'd have to go look for it. I didn't even think I had one that with a long enough cable, and I was like, whatever. It's probably not going to make a difference. Except it kind of did. So if you look at it, the button band definitely could stand to be a little tighter, which is kind of sad. But again, I will not make that mistake again because now I made it for myself, and now I know actually you kind of do have to do that. And honestly, my daughter doesn't care, like at all. She loves this sweater. When I knit it a few months ago when I finished it, it was too big. But now, it pretty much fits her spot on. She's a 6 and it's a size 6, and it's all ready for fall. So I'm happy about that. She likes it, I like it, that's a win. There's one more FO. Can you believe it? Look at all these FOs. I should knit smaller projects more often because it is so gratifying to finish something. So this is my last FO. I'm gonna pause for a second so I can get my model. Hang on. Okay, we're back. So my next FO is the Cable Doggo Sweater by Kristen Vinh. I know, Max, I know, but we gotta see the cable. Okay, so this I test knit. It's her first pattern, and it is just a stockinette dog sweater with a little bit of ribbing at the collar, and I'll bring it in, and a little bit of ribbing at the cuff, and this beautiful cable running right down the back. And his little legs poke out the front. Hi, Max. It's a little bit shorter underneath than it is on the back, because there are some short rows. Hang on, I'm almost done, honey. Let me see if I can see them. There's some short rows on the back that kind of make this curved hem at the bottom. It's super cute. Look at it. I'll put some pictures up of Max sitting in it because this is fairly awkward, right? It's pretty awkward, yeah. But I'm gonna take it off so I can tell you a little bit more about it. Okay, here we go. I took it off. I know, Max, I know, I'm sorry. Because it is summertime and it's pretty hot in here. So this is it, not on the dog. Sorry, I didn't do that great of a job hiding my short rows. That is me, that is not the pattern. Oops. But it's a dog sweater, right? Who cares? Like I said, it's mostly stockinette. There's just the little dog leg holes on the back, ribbing on the bottom, ribbing on the top, cable down the center. And it's super fun. It's a really quick knit. I knit it out of Cascade Anchor Bay, which is 50% superwash, 50% cotton. It's totally machine wash and dryable. I threw this in the washer and dryer, and it turned out looking better than when I put it in. And I totally could see knitting another dog sweater, this one or another one. I don't know if you read Dana, what's her last name? Dana's blog, Yards of Happiness. She's an amazing knitter. She has a column for Modern Daily Knitting, and she knits tons of sweaters, and she has an adorable dog named Jellybean, and she knits matching sweaters for her dog. So if it's a colorwork yoke, she'll do kind of a corresponding yoke on her dog sweater, and it is adorable, and I kind of want to do that too. I mean, I don't really want a fire truck red cabled sweater, but I do think Max would look really good in some version of the Magnolia. I don't know. Except I would definitely leave the nups off of Max's sweater. No nups. Never again. Never again. Okay. So this is my dog sweater. The pattern's not out yet. I think it's going to be out in the next couple of weeks, so I'll let you know when that drops. I would highly recommend it. Kristen was amazing. This is her first pattern, and it was really clear, really simple, and just all in all, a really positive testing experience, which is good because generally I find test knits to be super stressful, and yet I can't stop signing up for them. I don't know what this says about me. That is this, and that is the end of the FO parade. My next thing I want to show is my Dotted Rays by Stephen West. So last time I showed it, it's really hard to show this because it looks see-through when you show it on camera, but it's not that see-through. Okay. The last time I showed it, that is the stitch marker that shows where I was. So it was pretty small back then. It was just from this eyelet row all the way around to the cast on edge. And I made really good progress. I would say I'm more than halfway done at this point. I made it for my mom. I was originally trying to knit her a scarf, and I just bailed on several patterns and finally settled on the shell pattern. And I love it. It took me a while to get into because even though it's mostly garter, there are these eyelet rows, and when you do the eyelets, you have to do short rows back and forth. And I just could not get the hang of the pattern for the short rows. So I kept having to refer back to the pattern. I kept losing my place. And I had a really hard time identifying where to turn my work, and it was just slow going. And then finally, nothing to do with the pattern, because the pattern is lovely. Obviously, Stephen West, this is not his first rodeo, so he knows how to write a pattern. And my brain just got it at some point. And so now I don't really have to look at the pattern except to figure out how many stitches to leave between each eyelet, because that does vary. And so now I can just kind of knit away. It's pretty mindless right now. I had made a spreadsheet. I have abandoned the spreadsheet because it is not necessary anymore. And I'm knitting away. So I love it. I think the color is beautiful. I'm knitting it out of Anzula Meridian. It's a lace weight, but I'm holding it double. So this one I wound up by hand, and then I was like, oh my gosh, that took forever. Don't wind lace weight yarn by hand. Don't do that. I didn't know that. The yardage is so much. I don't even know what it is, but it was so much time that I actually brought the other skein back to the store that I bought it at and was like, please, can you wind this for me? Because I have a Swift, but I don't have a ball winder, so it was just too much. So I got one in a cake and one in a ball, but I'm holding them together. And so it makes kind of a fingering weight, like a light fingering weight. You can't really see. Yeah. And it's working out really well. The color is beautiful. It's really tonal. The color weight is called emerald, but it's not emerald. It's more of like an aquamarine, like really lovely variations in light and dark. You can't really see it in the shawl when I hold it up there, but you can see it in the yarn. There's a little bit of a sheen to it. So pretty. I would recommend it as long as you don't mind dealing with the fact that it's just so thin. So holding it together was really just a great choice. Now I can knit on it without wanting to stab myself with my knitting needles. And I think I'm gonna finish it. I know I'm gonna finish it. So that's really good. I am knitting it as part of the shelved piecemeal that's being run by Piece for Piece Crafting podcast, Michael over at the Piece for Piece Crafting podcast. And the whole point of that kale, it runs until the end of September, is to finish up those projects that you have yarn for or a pattern for, or you have plans to do, but you just never got around to doing it. So this project definitely fits the bill. This has been on my to-do list to use this yarn and make something lovely for my lovely mom for a year now. So, so that is that. Okay, so the only other thing I have left is some future knitting. So I really enjoyed making the My Little Secret crop, and I kind of thought that I would like to make another one, but modify it so that the back is raised to the height of the front. So as it stands now, it's shorter in the back than it is in the front, which is great for summer, but I kind of thought it would be nice if it was like just higher in the back, so that I don't know. I just thought that would be cool, and it wouldn't be that hard to do because I could just follow the pattern for the front when I knit the back and just made shorter straps. But then I thought, oh, you know what would be really awesome is if I made a turtleneck rib top, and like if it were top down, because this is bottom up and it was really hard to try on. I had just really struggled with the length. I couldn't tell how long to make it. I mean, I'd have a better sense now because I know this was 10 inches, so I could just go off of that. But I was like, oh, if it were top down and it were turtleneck, then I wouldn't need to pick up for the neck. I could just knit the ribbing for the turtleneck and then knit straight down and then try it on as I went, and it would be awesome. And I could knit it with mohair and fingering, and it would be like fancier, maybe a little bit dressier. And then I thought, like, wouldn't it be nice to wear this dressy sleeveless top if I went out again? I mean, if there's ever a time when we can dress up and go out again without worrying about pandemics. Oh my God, fighter jets. Okay, so I dove headfirst down the rabbit hole of Ravelry, trying to find this magical, perfect turtleneck ribbed sleeveless shell that's top down, that I could knit fingering a mohair together. And it is harder to find than you'd think. Most of the rib tops are knit bottom up. And it was just really hard to find one that was top down, and I do not trust myself to be able to convert bottom up to top down because I can barely follow a pattern as is written. I mean, my modifications have to be like, hey, maybe knit a little longer, or like maybe don't do so many sleeve decreases. Anything beyond that, I'm like, ooh, that sounds like you need actual design skills that I don't possess. So I was hesitant to just take an axe to a pattern and kind of try to switch it around. But I did find one. That I really like the look of. It's called hang on, I wrote it down. It's called the Sassy Classy Crop Top. Again, it's a crop, but I'm not gonna make it cropped. I'm gonna pop a picture in here so you can see what it looks like. The picture is super cropped. It's top down, it's ribbed, and there's this really lovely cable detail at the shoulder that I just love. And I just did my cable Doggo Sweater, so I know I can do it. I mean, that's basically it, right? That looks like it. I mean, how pretty. So I was looking, but this one it's by Ann-Kathrin Busch. And she only has a couple other patterns. I think she has 2 others on Ravelry. It's pretty recent. It was released in July, so there aren't that many projects. But she had a bunch of testers and they look super cute. There's the option for a cutout in the back, but I would probably just omit the cutout and knit it straight. The sample projects are knit in a light fingering, which I'm a little worried because I really want to do mohair. I'm hesitant to do all mohair because I just feel like that would be really see-through. But if I do fingering and mohair, it might be too big. I think that's going to be more than a light fingering gauge. I'd have to swatch for it. But I guess I could do a lace weight and a mohair. 2 lace weights make a light fingering. I don't know. I kind of, like, I was all over the place with yarn. You know when you just start, like, clicking on things and you're like, oh, maybe that. Like, oh, maybe that. I don't know. I was on yarnsub.com. I was all over the place. So I haven't found exactly the right thing. I bought the pattern. A lot of the testers and people that have knit the project have said it's really challenging, but worth it. Which I think that's I'm kind of up for that. It's not that big of a piece. There's a lot of negative ease. So I think I could get away with knitting the smallest size, which means the time commitment for this would just not be that great. I think the most annoying part of it would be the turtleneck, because I think that's a 1x1 rib. Actually, her top is a mock neck, but I think I would just go full turtleneck and just knit the neck longer and fold it over, or scrunch it down, or whatever. Because I really have in my head I want a turtleneck. And then it's a 3x1 rib, like knit 3, purl 1. So that can't be that bad, right? But there's these really lovely details, like there's the cable on the shoulder, and there's like a dart almost that comes down on the side of the bust that just changes the direction of the ribbing. It looks so lovely. So stay tuned. I might do that. I don't know why I'm so hep on doing it now, because it is getting into fall, and I don't know how much I would wear the sleeveless top in the fall. But it's a turtleneck, so like maybe? I don't know. I gotta think on that one. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna finish up my data raise. I'm gonna cast on the cable hat that I bought a kit for, that I showed in the last podcast, and see where we go. Maybe I'll pick up a couple more small projects, because I love small projects now. I just want to finish all the things. And hopefully I can knock out my data raise. And I hope that's all my knitting. What else is going on? So the podcast has been doing really well. We've got a lot of new viewers. I just wanted to thank you if you're new. And if you've watched the podcast and decided to come back and watch more episodes, that's so great. I'm so glad you came. It's been really fun. I love seeing your comments. I like that I'm starting to recognize, different people that are in the comments, and really feel like, we're getting to know each other a little better. So that's really nice. And I'm hoping we're not that far off from 1,000 subscribers. I mean, there's a ways to go, but I'm sort of thinking in the back of my mind of a different giveaway that we could do, or something else that we could do to celebrate kind of, our community and what we're doing here. So stay tuned. I'll try to pick out some good yarn and find some good makers that we can show on the podcast. So, and maybe give away some of their stuff. So we got that going on. And it's pretty much the end of summer. So we're going to be getting back into back to school mode, which I can't decide if that means more knitting time or less knitting time. I mean less, because like back to school mode, there's lots of balls in the air and things you got to do and things you got to sign up for and get the schedule and find the calendar and put stuff on it and then look at it. That's my problem. I put everything on the calendar and then I don't. Calendars only work if you look at them, right? So that's my struggle. So in that sense, no, it will be a little busier, but my kids I think are all going in person. So in that sense, way more time with nobody busting in with various, concerns. So we'll see. I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope you're enjoying the end of summer and, these last couple weeks of loveliness, and then we can get right into fall knitting and fall goodness. So let me know what you're working on. Let me know if there's anything that you really would like to see in the podcast or do, or try. I'm up for anything. Guys, thank you. Happy knitting. Where's my stitch marker? Does anybody see it?